Hi and welcome. As you can see from the title of this video, what we will be delving into today is 5 nightmarish scenarios of working with narcissists or a particular narcissist, let's say. Now, I'm just making this video, just to shine some light, just to throw some help your way. If you're struggling in this area, particularly at work, these scenarios can happen in other situations. Just, change the roles or the titles of the person that I'll be discussing and the different characters I'll be discussing in this video, and it should match up if, narcissists are involved. Now, please remember to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to share this video and thumbs up. Thumbs up the video if it touched you in some way, you feel enlightened, and you were also entertained. Let's jump right in. So, number one, the first nightmarish scenario, if you may be working with a narcissist, is that they speak a different language. Let me break it down a little bit. So if you have a coworker or even someone in a higher position in your company or at your place of employment, and you guys don't speak the same language, or you gals don't speak the same language, let's say you speak English or you speak Spanish or French or German, another language, perhaps even Russian, and they speak an opposite language or a different language that you can't communicate. You have misunderstandings. You may have to have someone else translate for you what each other is trying to communicate. Like, this is nightmarish, because if the person is a narcissist who you can't understand, it's already 1,000 times difficult to try to communicate with narcissists, because as we know, they intentionally misunderstand what you're trying to convey to them, especially if they don't want to face perhaps criticism or challenge or any type of responsibility or accountability at work. If you guys are speaking the same language, it's already difficult. So if you speak different languages, it's like multiplied by 10, because they can use their language as a barrier intentionally. They can always say, "Oh, I didn't understand. I misunderstood. Um, I don't know what you're saying." Or they can have, if someone is translating for them, they can pretend like the person who translated what you were trying to convey to make them accountable, or if, to give them feedback that they don't want to hear or accept. They can pretend like the person who was helping you guys out didn't translate it well, or translated it out of context or something like that. So that's the first nightmarish scenario. Number two, if the narcissist socializes with either the owner of the company, the boss, your employer, perhaps your manager or your supervisor, or even a team leader. If the narcissist is chummy with someone in charge, someone who calls shots, who pulls strings in your company, if they're close to that person or buddy with that person, let's say they go to lunch often, they may have family time together, like their kids either attend each other's events, birthday parties, or go to the same school. They may be a part or members of the same, let's say, country club, or some outside social event, perhaps the same church, and they participate in certain community going ons together. Like, they have things in common, they share things in common, and they seem to have a great connection. That's a nightmare scenario, because there may be things you may need to let someone in charge know that's not working out well for you in the company, in the organization, having to do, or is that's related directly to your work environment and your productivity, but it's hard to convey it because it sounds like you're complaining. It sounds like it's not a big deal because they're friends with this person and they think you're just exaggerating or blowing things out of proportion when you're just telling them, hey, this is how it is. It's not going smoothly. It's actually going downhill, and I need you to become a part of this to help fix it. Number 3, let's say the narcissist that you meet in a company has been on that job longer than you have. Let's say you were recently hired, or if not recently, in less time than the narcissist has actually been on a job, or have been employed in the same place as you have. I mean, this is a complete disadvantage in my opinion, because the narcissist has already had the chance to, build relationships on that job. They've already had the opportunity to build trust among the same colleagues that you now have and that you now share with them. Therefore, if you have an issue, or if you seem to suddenly have a mood change or be quiet, or seem to be avoiding a particular person in the company, the spotlight is now on you because you are aware of what's going on. You have educated yourself. You have woken yourself up because of your past experiences, because you perhaps were forced to face some of the gaps that you've had in your life that had made you prone to abuse by narcissists, psychopaths, antisocial, behavior disordered people, and you know better. But there's so many more people who don't know better, don't care to know better, and enjoy being where they are mentally or emotionally, intellectually. A lot of people enjoy being blissfully ignorant to facts, to what's actually going on around them. So if the narcissist has been in a company longer than you have, yeah, you're going to have to climb uphill because, and it's not impossible. You can gain trust over time. You can build strong relationships over time, but it just is going to take time. You're going to have to be much, much more patient if you care to stay in that company for a long time or an extensive time period. You're going to have to be much more patient because the narcissist had more time to manipulate, use their tools, use their tactics on persons in the company, and they're pretty good at what they do. And they can be patient as well, and they can go quite a long time fooling most people. It's up to you to know whether you're resilient enough to deal with the scenario, particularly if it's a malignant narcissist, someone that has very, very strong manipulative tools and they fiercely use them. Yeah, that's pretty nightmarish in my opinion. Number 4, if you're sharing a cubicle space with this narcissist, if you've identified someone who have strong narcissistic traits, or who you find to be using manipulative tactics very often, very frequently, and you suspect that they may be sociopath narcissist or both, perhaps even some psychopathy going on there. That's pretty nightmarish because even if you're not in the same cubicle, even if they're your neighbor or the cubicle next to you, um, it's going to affect you, even if it's just energetically affecting you or vibrationally, because they're there, you've identified who they are. Even though they think you're oblivious, they think they've pulled the wool over yours and everybody else's eyes in their own delusion. But because they feel like, they're so arrogant, no one can figure them out, right? Definitely not you. That's how they feel. So, they may be harassing you secretly, annoying you, just getting under your skin, and you feel it. You know what's going on. Other people, it seems more subtle to them. They're less aware of what's happening, or they're more caught up in other happenings in the office or in the company. They have their own personal issues, even perhaps issues with the narcissist. They don't have the strength, the time, or the energy to be focused on your relationship with this narcissist on the job. So you're going to have to put up with that and hope that, another coworker or two sees it, hopefully even, someone at another level like HR or manager or boss sees it, because then that would be so much more helpful to you. And lastly, the fifth, and I feel most important nightmare scenario if you're working on a job with a narcissist is the fact that you're working on a job with a narcissist. Like, that's the main deal. That's like the biggest problem, because you got to wake up every day. Well, not every day, but work days and work with this narcissist. You may be feeling stressed out. You may be feeling like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can, do another day. I don't know if I can do another hour with this person being here. You may be pulling your hair out, trying to find somewhere else to go, even though you really do enjoy your work environment outside of or away from the narcissist, or, just the type and nature of your work, the nature of your career or job. Maybe it's something you went to college for, that you studied for, that you're certified and trained for, that you enjoy. You're in your element. It brings you into flow, but there's a narcissist right there next to you, right? So being a coworker or even an employee of a narcissist, because hey, it may be the owner of the company, like I said, or a boss, a team leader. You know, you may be uncomfortable, but the narcissist is in heaven because you're uncomfortable. Like narcissists, they enjoy, they bask in conflict. They love that negative vibration. They love the negative energy. They produced it, they caused it, but it's because they're dumping all of their internal issues and shame onto you. They're loving it. They're loving that. Oh, you're there. You got someone to dump it all on. No one else is really seeing it but you. And who's going to pay attention to you? Who's going to listen to you? If you don't have a hope in that company, on that in that career, they enjoy just the competition of it all. They enjoy the conflict. They enjoy that tension. Especially if they're giving you like the silent treatment, or they're stealing your ideas on a project at work, right? Or if they're able to meet deadlines way before you, usually because they probably aren't going as much into details or doing less research, whatever the case may be. Everything just becomes a competition for them, and you may not even be concerned with all of that. You're just doing what you're expected to do, but they're seeing it from another whole other viewpoint, another perspective. So they're enjoying it, and that's so nightmarish that someone's getting pleasure out of your pain. And this is, your livelihood, where you come to make a living. And, sometimes you may be just trying to get through the day. It may not be, your dream job, to say the least. Or it may be, you may be doing what you set out to do many years ago and still enjoying it. Everybody's path is different. Let's run down these 5 nightmarish scenarios just one more time to recap. Number 1, if you have a different language from the narcissist. Number 2, if the narcissist is anybody or chummy or good close friends because of religious affiliation, because of the neighborhood or community they live in. Maybe their spouses are, in some type of club or something together. Or if the narcissist has been on the job longer than you, right? That's number 3. They got things set up the way they want it set up, emotionally, relationship wise, um, logistically, however, whatever influence they have going on at that place of employment. Or even if they're the owner of the company, um, you are the new person on the block, or have much less time than the narcissist had there. So that's number 3. Number 4, you share space with the narcissist. So whether it's like a cubicle space or a particular department you work in that you must, run into the narcissist all day or often, multiple times a day. You have to meet the narcissist at the water cooler. You have to meet the narcissist at the coffee machine. There's a lunchroom, let's say. There's the narcissist. Or whatever the case may be. You may even be parked next to each other every day because parking is limited, and that's the first person you see when you get out. And it's not always pleasant, particularly if they realize that you're not someone that they can just push around. They can make things very uncomfortable and just irritating for you. Even if you woke up with a bright shiny smile that morning, it would be a struggle to keep it on your face in these nightmare scenarios. Number 5, just, being around a narcissist all day while you're just trying to make a living, just trying to pay your bills, save up for vacations, enjoy your family time, give back to your community, give back, be philanthropic, whatever, your reasons for being employed and making a living for. That's all that's all you want to do. But hey, you got a narcissist or 2 or more at your place of employment, and they love it. They love building tension. They love that negative energy and vibration. Like I said, they're at home, despite you feeling perhaps all jammed up and cramped there with the narcissist, to say the least. Because they can definitely get under your skin. But if it begins to feel unhealthy for you emotionally, physically, health-wise, you have to begin, if not already, seek out alternatives for your health. Seek out a plan, make a plan of action. You may have a long-term plan, a short-term plan, but that's the way you're going to have to go, because you don't want to spend too much time because of a narcissist in your vicinity or a psychopath being unhappy, being uncomfortable, when there's options. There have been people there have been people and survivors who have been in your situation and your circumstances in the past and have gotten out. It may have been a challenge initially. They may have done it once, twice, or 3 times, but they finally found a comfort spot, or perhaps a different career that is more suitable for their personality. And you may have to resort to doing the same. Just something to consider. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Hopefully, like I said in the beginning, it was helpful and enlightening. Please stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe. Till next video, take care of yourselves. I'm Dee Dee Morris. Bye-bye.